Previously on Divisive Issues. Go watch last episode.
Listen to it. Listen to it.
Yeah, fuck. Listen, whatever. Part 2.
You can watch it if you want.
Yeah.
We're not gonna do like best of, like his old hairy man body. I can't believe you, Sly. You can't like this book. Fuck you guys.
It's just plagiarism. It's just plagiarism.
So, guys, welcome back. If you listened last week, we had to cut in the middle because we can't fucking shut up for a second. So, we'll drop you right back into probably Sly yelling at us.
Enjoy.
Most definitely.
So issue 3 is the cover is Octopus standing over what looks like Spider-Man in the coffin, and the issue opens up with Peter at Ben's and everyone else's graves, and saying, "I couldn't save any of you," while Dr. Octopus is digging up their graves.
I wanted to read the first page because it's just like so purposefully dark.
Yeah, read it.
So it's Dr. Octopus and Peter in the graveyard, and
Dr. Octopus has been in silhouette this whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Peter's narrating. Mary Jane, Aunt May, Uncle Ben, I couldn't save any of you. Never had the power. Never could handle the responsibility. When I'm buried beside you, will you tell me why you lied to me?
Yep.
And he's touching Ben's grave as he says that. It's just like, it's so dark.
Yeah.
Again, I know we were talking about the quality of this book in general. I'm never going to say that this is great writing. However, I think heavy-handed writing can still touch on something that books like Nemesis can't, because it's heavy-handed, so it's not well done, but there is something there that is interesting, unlike The Boys, unlike Nemesis.
But here's the thing: the reason why I don't respect it that much, like I would in most cases, but it just feels like it's doing it just because Dark Knight Returns did it. It doesn't feel like this is
okay. But think about it. Aside from Dark Knight Returns,
no, but like this whole thing, I can't. This whole story is Dark Knight Returns. You can't say ignore the fucking everything the story's based on. The story is Dark Knight Returns. Every single page keeps reminding me of it. The heart reminds me of it. The fucking.
So sounds like you have PTSD from it. You're like, I can't stop thinking about it. I imagine myself reading Dark Knight.
This guy changes the art style to match Frank Miller's.
No, his style's always like this.
It did remind me of like Miller's style when I was reading Dark Knight, like the watercolor.
I agree, but thinking about it on its own, I can't though.
I literally can't. This reminds me of the hard way. Like, if you show me this in the Frank Miller page, I would probably confuse you too.
I thought on its own it wasn't terrible.
For me, it gets back to the argument I had last week where it's like, I'd rather have you try and succeed at doing something well than trying and like failing in a bad way.
Well, obviously we would rather have someone try and succeed.
No, I'm not. I'm saying that's what I liked about Nemesis is it didn't try and make any statements at all. It was just a super stupid book.
I think I hate you, Darryl.
Where it's like, this is trying to be like really like dark and showing like how tormented Peter is.
So you're saying it's better to just be dumb shit than to try to be good and fail?
So Darryl disagrees with us, but I don't think this is ambitious. To me, this feels like it's just going by numbers of what all these fucking stories are like, especially Dark Knight.
But why couldn't this be his imagining of that style book with Peter Parker?
Because it's so similar. Like we've read stories like this where it's dark, dystopian future. Ruins is better than this because Ruins is at least something different than this. This is just fucking. I don't see the point of this book when it's just the same beats, same themes, same everything.
Because it hasn't been done to Spider-Man.
You know, I probably would need to read Dark Knight Returns again in the past because I read it 12 years ago now. It's so far away in my mind that I don't remember the comparisons enough. Because when I was reading this mostly as a standalone thing, like I was not thinking about Dark Knight Returns.
The funny thing is, people watching this might think like I read Dark Knight Returns every day. I love Dark Knight Returns, but I don't. I'm not even a huge fan of Dark Knight Returns. But the thing is, it just bugs me how it just feels so blatant, like how much this is aping another person's style. It just bugs me so much.
And I can understand that it can be really irritating.
All right, so basically, like Darryl said, it's just dark. He's over the grave. He's sad. J. Jonah Jameson is at the guy's the politician's office, and the politician is like, "Oh."
The most powerful man, the mayor of New York.
Yeah. And then he's like, "Oh, I own the Daily Bugle. I am the voice of the city, not you." And J. Jonah Jameson's like, "Then I own nothing to the city than to cut its throat." And the politician grabs a knife and says, "What an excellent idea." And J. Jonah Jameson just grabs a knife and stabs his throat instead. And the guy's like bleeding out with his throat cut. And
J. Jonah Jameson thinks to himself, "What? Blood?" Because apparently he didn't expect blood to come out because...
Yeah.
Well, this is an important thing. He expected something.
Yeah, instead he goes to stab the advisor, and the advisor turns out to be a guy. Basically, when he stabs his knife into him, it goes through him, and like black ooze secretes out, and we wonder who that could be. And basically,
and he knew he knew it was him though, because he says, "There you are."
Yeah. And so then we cut to back to Peter, and Peter is like at the grave, and Dr. Octopus's arms grab him, and Dr. Octopus's voice sounds robotic and says, "We were brothers once, gods of a new age, but like Balder, God's son, blah blah blah." More
again. This is a different mythology.
Balder's a Marvel character, and he's not God of the Sun.
Oh, but he's from Norse mythology. I think he was probably referencing.
But like in a world where Thor and characters exist, like you can't
true.
like.
Well, maybe in this universe they never existed. Boom, take that.
Take that, Ryan. Eat shit.
Yeah, where are they now, huh? To save the city from this laser beam.
It's pretty weird to keep switching like those like cultural themes between issues.
I forgot that it went to Norse just for Doc Ock.
Also, they misspell Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Oh wow, Ragnarok. Basically, he says he sent his arms to save Peter, and basically it turns out Doctor has been dead, and he's just a robot, and his arms are basically doing all the movement, and basically he sent his arms as the last will to save Peter before he died. And he said, return the fire to the heavens, Peter. Bring them all back, as he fucking breaks open Mary Jane's casket and reveals her corpse.
Which is so fucking BM. It's so rude.
That's what I'm saying by this being so dark, is he like drops his dead wife's corpse on him. It's like, come on.
It's like so excessively dark. Like,
yeah. Because I think a graveyard scene like this, where he's mourning and reflecting on his failures in life, could be really cool. But it does sometimes just veer into stuff like this, where like he was already mourning Mary Jane. He could even dig up the corpse himself or something.
Yeah.
But to have it just like smashed and dropped on top of him.
Yeah. Just to bring up the point I brought up earlier, but like it just feels like too much. Like there's no other nuance to it. Like even 1984. 1984 is a depressing story. For a lot of that story, they have like other things in that story, like his relationship with that girl. They have an element of hope, like, maybe with the proletariat there'll be hope. There's other elements into it. It's not just how much more shit we can cram into every page that can make you more and more depressed.
Yeah, just in case you guys are listening and wondering, 1984 is way better than this. George Orwell is a much better writer than fucking Kaare Andrews or whatever.
Wait, that's going to be my recommendation.
Oh.
That's been my favorite book since
I love that book too.
Yeah,
it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's such an amazing book.
I think you mean 1986, Dark Knight Returns.
No, that's Sly's favorite book.
So back to the much shittier book, this book. Basically, as Mary Jane's corpse is smashed and flying through the air, flashbacks back to the last time we saw her when she was in.
This is easily my favorite scene of the whole book, actually.
And like as I'm reading this again, I do see why you guys like these scenes. Like
I really like them.
I was just so like bombarded with depressing moments that I didn't really appreciate these scenes.
But they go back to the first scene here where he says like trampled lilies. I'm sorry, MJ. I promise.
That's why as I'm reading them again, I'm like, these are nice, well written scenes, and they're the high points of this book.
Yeah,
and what it gives more life to him in the first scene where he's on the ground as the cops. He doesn't care about anything but those flowers bringing home to MJ, and the cops just stamp on them. It's just like that. He's obsessed with this moment in his life.
I agree, but like when I first read it, I was just
I could see getting burnt out.
Like it's just too much. Like this seemed me more better if the book was more subtle. Like if
I totally agree.
Mechanically, one of the things I don't like about this scene is that the narration, what Peter's saying and what MJ's saying, are all different things you have to keep track of. I like two different things being juxtaposed, but here it's like you have Peter's thoughts, Peter's voice, and Mary Jane telling him
mechanically, like it's a video game.
This is honestly my least favorite era of writing. Not era, but like this least favorite style of comic writing, where it's just so hard to follow the flow of the story, where you have to go back and keep going. Like I know,
right? And it's like a pretty well written scene. Like Phil pointed out, how important it is to Peter as a character. It doesn't flow as well as I feel it should.
I actually disagree. I really like the way this scene switches between the narration and the dialogue, and the reason why...
I know you would, Ryan, and I know why you would. I know why you do. I can understand.
So predictable.
I can understand thematic reasons why it's good, but when I'm reading it,
no, not thematically.
Oh, not thematically. Why then?
The reason why I like this is because the blue narration boxes... So, did we set up the scene? I don't remember. We've been talking about it for so long.
It's just Peter at Mary Jane's side as she's dying of cancer.
Yeah, she's in the hospital dying of cancer. It's totally black. The reason why I really like it is the blue narration boxes are Spider-Man's thoughts, and the dialogue is Peter Parker's thoughts. Not modern-day Spider-Man, but, like, basically, here's the narration. If you're Spider-Man, he's looking at her and he says, "Can you even hear me? Can you hear that sound?" Of course not. Police cars, gunshots, someone's dying. I mean, other than you. I'll be back, I promise. As he puts on a Spider-Man mask and leaves the window, I'll bring fresh flowers.
Flesh flowers. I'll make a flower flesh from these criminals and bring it to you.
That's his great power, great responsibility side. He's saying, I have to go save these people. There's nothing I can do for you here. I want to be here, but I can't. I have to go be Spider-Man. Meanwhile, he's saying, your face was so beautiful, the sky cracked like ice, and I could feel the sun pour down on me like rain. It was all I could do to stop staring. You were so... My chest was too small for what you did to my heart. I wanted to tell you so much, but words didn't have enough, so I tried to show you. But just when you meant the most, just when I thought I could do it, I screwed up. So that's Peter trying to make peace with MJ's death, while Spider-Man is like, there's still more work to be done. I think that's really effective.
Me too.
I feel that's fine thematically, but reading it panel by panel, it doesn't come across. It's more like schizophrenic.
I think that's kind of the point, though.
If you compare this to a movie, like I'll compare this to like what was a fucking asshole, Terrence Malick, where he always has these weird edits. Like he cuts from a fucking a character in Utah, and it cuts to the sun, and then it cuts to dinosaurs, and you could be like, oh, but thematic is about life and all this, and then I'm like,
okay, but this isn't a movie though. In comics, it's easier to do this.
I'm saying you could say all these things about thematically and like why this works and why it doesn't, but when I'm reading the story, it just takes me out of the scene. It makes me keep stopping and starting.
I really liked it from a meta reason because I felt Peter's struggle of which voice do I listen to.
But I will say, you reading Spider-Man's and then reading Peter's made it a lot more impactful than it originally was for me. Like having it in one.
Yeah, I agree too. When you read it with one thing, it made it more impactful.
Okay. I think we have to, I really like the way it's juxtaposed.
Right, like the story's first time I read it. Don't trust his opinion.
Sly, this story's not bad. I'm gonna say it's not bad.
Fuck you.
I think it's bad.
Fuck.
I feel like it could have been done better with something where you have Peter saying the things to her, and then in the background is the stuff that's going on, or like you focus in on stuff that's
Isn't
going on.
Isn't that what's happening?
What?
Isn't it in the background of the panels?
No, it's in the narration. I mean, there's the wee wee and blam blam, but you could have put the narration because it's police cars, gunshots, someone dying. Other than you.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, you could do all that stuff visually.
You don't need a narration.
Yeah, you don't need the narration there.
More or less is more here. You could have done this without the narration at all. This is another reason why I didn't like this style, because the narration is usually needless. It's like we talk about too much words. This is too much words for me. I'd rather have more dialogue than more self-important.
We're allowed to disagree, guys.
No, we're not.
No, this is conformity issues. Where we all agree.
Okay, so anyway, this is my favorite scene. Now let's make it super weird. Basically, with like the equivalent of the butt sex joke in issue.
No, this was
1.
not as weird as.
Okay, so you like this scene, Phil? You read it. Describe it. Read it.
Okay. Okay. I'm not saying I like the scene, but let me tell you how you sold this.
This
book
is your
to me.
favorite scene, Phil.
So what the scene is him holding Mary Jane's body, and he says, "I'm sorry."
In modern times, she's a rotted corpse.
Right. So we're in the future
With
now.
all of her hair.
He's an old man. Yeah, it's really weird. But it's just iconic, I guess. The doctors didn't understand how it happened, how you'd been poisoned with radioactivity, how your body became slowly riddled with cancer. And he says, I am filled with radioactive blood. Not just blood, every fluid. Touching me, loving me killed you. So the way Sly told this book to me is, that's the book where Spider-Man's cum kills Mary Jane. That is not a fair way to
That's what Ryan described it. Fuck it. Mine's on the Reddit, so...
Wait. Before you disparage this is how it was suggested to us by a fan.
Yeah, okay.
So Phil's saying fuck all you fans, so...
No, I'm not saying fuck fans. I'm just saying...
all this scapegoating. It wasn't me, it was some other guy.
I'm just saying, to sell this book as the one where Spider-Man's cum kills Mary Jane, he basically says, I was radioactive, so I gave you cancer, which is totally a believable thing.
Here's the thing. I like this conceptually a lot. Having Spider-Man, just his powers killing someone he loves, and him saying, loving me killed you, and him having to deal with that guilt, I think is a fascinating concept, and I think that's totally fine. In fact, I think that's cool. But cool's not the right word.
It's awesome.
It's interesting.
I think it's very interesting.
Yeah.
By specifically saying, and not just blood, every fluid.
Yeah.
That one bubble makes it bizarre.
Makes it
Yeah.
gross.
It makes it gross.
All he had to say was, "I am radioactive." Like that's enough.
Because then the next bubble, like a spider crawling up inside your body and laying 1,000 eggs of cancer, by saying, guys, I'm talking about cum, it makes it really
Yeah.
weird. And that imagery goes from being effective, from being like, it's a spider metaphor, to being a cum thing, and it's gross.
Yeah.
But I think it's just a gross scene in general because Mary Jane's corpse starts like ripping his face off with her tongue.
Yeah, and Peter's not crazy. He's imagining Mary Jane ripping off his face, but he's not crazy.
All right, he's crazy. He's crazy. Is that what you wanted to hear?
Yes.
No, Sly won't stop until he says as crazy as the Joker is.
I will make you say it, Phil. You'll say it one day.
Say it! Swear to me!
I'm as crazy as the Joker.
One thing that does stand out here is he does say, I came back with flowers, but your bed was already empty.
Yeah.
And her corpse, he's imagining her corpse saying, you didn't let me finish, because she mutters, please go, before he leaves in the previous scene. And she said, I tried to tell you, go get him, Tiger. Meaning, like, not get away from me, you killed me, but, like, go be Spider-Man. That's why I love you.
Why? One of the things I don't understand about this scene is, like, in the last page, she's eating his face. Like, it's
why?
his guilt taking over.
The zombie stuff is bizarre.
And then it's just, like, a switch where she's like, actually, no, I still, like, I love you. I want you to be Spider-Man. I don't, like, regret my time with you. But nothing prompted him to switch.
Yeah.
Nothing
between-
prompted him.
Yeah, that's really weird.
Those two scenes could work with some kind of transition.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like you said, it's supposed to be the guilt consuming him, but then it just stops consuming him, and he didn't come to any resolution. Except, I guess, maybe admitting it. Like, I'm a liar, I'm a piece of shit.
Well, no, she says, he accepts that she was saying go be Spider-Man, not hold me till I die.
But what prompted him to come to that realization?
I don't know.
That's what's weird.
Shitty writing.
Doc Ock grabbing her corpse and dragging it
Yeah.
into a grave.
Oh, now I get it. Thanks,
Yeah.
Doc Ock. You see, Doc Ock is the hero of the story.
He's the Deus Ex Machina.
Just like J. Jonah Jameson, he's like Doc Ock in the grave is like just according to Kaiku.
Doc Ock.
So, okay, he does say, how did they know what was buried with you? And that's important. That's the only other thing that matters.
But so then we cut to the girl, and she she thinks about that kid who died. And
The hacker
The
boy
hacker.
who led her into the alley and showed her Jonah Jameson's Truth Church of Children.
Yeah, those two scenes they had together.
Yeah, and she has a mask, and like this is important because she's going to start wearing the mask because she's a vigilante, like I mentioned before.
And she's telling a joke.
What is it?
About the two campers. Says we can't outrun bears, and the one camper says to the other, "Well, I can outrun you, and that's all that matters."
But she's telling a joke like Spider-Man.
Yeah, she's the wisecracking.
Robin to his Batman.
Yeah, like Spider-Man's a Robin, right, guys? So like when I talk about basically come back to reporters, and like I know what he's trying to go for, like it's so heavy-handed because like I said, it's Botox, Jimmy Olsen, but like their eyes are so closed, like it's supposed to show like the black soulless faces, but they look like it looks ugly. It doesn't.
No, it looks like they're being forced into it because later on in book 4, the Jimmy Olsen guy breaks.
I don't remember that, and I read this like 2 hours
Yeah,
ago.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just I forgot most of his book. So then they're like, terrorists are bad. We have the web. We're safe at last.
They make another name drop. Like in ancient mythology, Olympus is watching over us again.
How many times in regular politics do people drop fucking Olympics references? Whatever.
How many times in regular politics do you put a laser web around a city to protect it from who?
Yeah.
Terrorists?
Rapists.
The terrorists are in the city, by the way.
Yeah.
So yeah, the guy survives. The politician is back with J. Jonah Jameson. Survived having his throat slit. He's getting his throat patched up, and it turns out Eddie Brock is the advisor, and J. Jonah Jameson knew, and he's like, "Oh yeah, it's me, Eddie Brock," but now everything was just according to plan because, as we all know, first of all, we all know Venom. Eddie Brock is the master planner. He's Peter Parker's master planner.
That's what I wanted to ask you guys. Like,
That's me and Darryl were talking about that. We were like, is Venom the type of villain to plan this type of police
yeah, to be like,
state?
I need to establish a police state inside of New York City.
His whole thing is, I'm gonna go to Peter Parker and punch him in the face.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
all he ever did was troll Peter. That's like his only thing. Like he knows who Peter is. So he just,
What's more trolling than setting up a dystopian future for you to live in?
Just for Peter. Well, not just for Peter.
And I know why. I know this is why I argue this guy doesn't probably read Spider-Man because a lot of new fans have this idea that the arch nemesis of Spider-Man is Venom. He is the Joker to Spider-Man's Batman.
He's literally only that in maybe 3 issues at most.
And not even that. He's never been a personal. He knows Peter's personal life, but he's never done any serious damage to Peter's personal life. He's never done any damage to Peter's standing in the city. He's never taken over the city. He's never done any of that level. The villain who is the Joker to his Batman has always been Green Goblin.
Yeah.
Green Goblin has killed one of Spider-Man's love of his lives. He's taken his best friend from him, Harry Osborn. He's through his legacy. He's basically he became a political figure in the comics and ruined Peter's reputation in the comics. He has done all this shit to Peter, and he's not even the story at all. And
the problem is to do that, to make it Green Goblin, he would have to be so fucking old.
Oh, like J. Jonah Jameson, who's older than him,
or like Harry Osborn, who is not in the story at all. Peter's best friend.
I was gonna say it could have been.
It could have been.
He could have been the mayor.
Yeah.
One of the things I thought would have been cool is that the mayor, because the mayor's revealed just to be like
figurehead.
As I say, he's a lackey. Yeah, he's just the figurehead here. If I thought the mayor, his goal was that he wanted to trap Venom in the city to keep him from getting out. And he's like a self-sacrifice, but no, it's the mayor is actually dumb. He's like, I thought you were going to protect the city. Because Venom's not going to protect the city.
It's so crazy that you could convince the mayor of New York City, like, hey, I'm an alien symbiotic life form that wants to eat all humans. If you let me rule the place, I'll protect New York.
And all they have to do is just be like, the symbiote is controlling him. But no, they're like, he's just a fucking moron.
Like, he's so dumb. And this is what, like, now he gets convinced, like, oh, I'm really dumb. But it takes all of this to happen.
And also, so the main plan is to set up the web, and basically Venom will now eat everyone in the city because they can't leave.
Even though Venom's whole thing is he tries to protect innocence from a warped morale.
Yeah. Oh, another thing, Venom has been a hero much longer than he's been the villain.
But J. Jonah Jameson does say you've changed, and he says in the years we all changed, Jonah. You grew old, I grew lonely and hungry.
That's true.
So you could argue like over time this alien body wanted food.
That's true.
Whatever. I'm saying they do give you a way to justify it.
You could fansplain it if you want.
But I just think about this, and it's like that's another reason why I hate this, because it doesn't feel like Spider-Man growing old, like trying to be definitive Peter growing old story. It just feels like this guy doesn't know Spider-Man that well, like to make Venom like this, and you have to fan-explain to make it really work.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, I'll agree. Yeah.
I also kind of wish the story stuck to the dystopian future kind of thing,
Me too.
rather than, because now we're doing a huge plot shift over to now Venom starts spreading out like parts of himself throughout the city to attack people and take them
that's
over.
a flaw with superhero comics in general. That
there's a flaw that's not mandatory.
It's a flaw that isn't mandatory, but it happens a lot where it's, here's this big political story I'm trying to tell, or an emotional story, but at the end, the last issue better be a hero punching a villain.
Especially because, like, the first issue where they were talking about all those nursery rhymes that are gone now, where they were saying, like, these are allegories for actual political figures at the time.
Yep.
And that this could have been it, but in the end, it's like, no, it's actually an alien symbiote that's in control of the city.
I know what you're saying, Ryan, but like, especially coming out in 2006, like,
oh, it makes it bad. Don't get me wrong. It's a trope I hate.
Like if this happened in 1964, where you literally can't sell a comic on the stands without having on the front page to advertise this is a traditional superhero fight. Nowadays, I think readers are more nuanced. You can get away with it.
Yeah, no, I'm saying it's a trope that sucks, and that like I think it's always worth pointing out. But this is hardly the only book that does.
Yeah, it's just that in 2006, with the current political climate in the U.S., like you could totally make this a critique on the Patriot Act type stuff, and to halfway through issue 3 be like, actually, it's aliens. Like,
it's like what we were talking about in the discrimination one. Is like when you make a political point, like, no, it's magic. Like,
it was just a hate ray. Normal people are better than that.
America would never give up freedom for security unless Venom made him, you know? Like,
Venom, too, of all people. The master planner.
Sign the Patriot Act, guys.
But like Darryl suggested, Venom starts growing, and basically, this is another thing he never did. He never would grow and start eating all of Manhattan, but he basically becomes like Godzilla and starts destroying Manhattan.
No, many of him. He shoots out like this million like Venom beasts.
Yeah, he becomes Legion.
They flood throughout all of New York City and just start like absorbing people. And the cops are at this point are like, what? They're killing people.
Meanwhile, Spider-Man is crawling into MJ's coffin.
Yeah.
He says, I'm going home.
Yeah, and Sandman, the leader of the cops now, is like, the mayor told us to protect the building and your families will be safe. And they're watching like babies getting eaten and like.
And this is another great thing. Phil just mentioned Sam as leader of the cops. This is the third issue. Now prepare for Sam to become a character all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So the Venom monster chase after the Kaare Andrews story, and she runs to a church. The Venom symbiote's eating everyone in the church, but then Kaare Andrews realizes the gong that they have in the church that everyone was supposed to cover.
This is why they were outlawing church.
Yeah, and basically because Venom is weak to sound.
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
In Spider-Man 3, that's how he gets the symbiote off him. He bangs him against the church bells.
Oh, okay.
It's funny because they actually, in the Sinister Six, ironically enough, there's a comic where Sinister Six make fun of Venom, and like Electro makes fire around him. He's like, "You're really weak to fire and sound. Wow, you're a pussy," and they all just make fun of him. And they're like, "Leave this pussy alone." They walk away, and he's just crying like, "Help
That's
me."
probably why he wants to kill the whole city.
Yeah, he's like, "Fuck you, Sinister Six. Now you're my bitch." He's like, "Put bombs on your heads, you piece of shit." So so the giant. Bell makes the Venom symbiote disperse, and everyone in the church survives.
Okay, now the only thing, I'm not going to make this reference every time, but for the remainder of the book, another issue and a half, every other panel basically has a big white letters that just say dong.
Dong.
Because the bell rings for the rest of the story.
Yeah.
So just all scenes now just have dong, dong. And I know I'm a child, but it's so many dongs.
Yes.
Yeah. Every day, it reminds life. So many dongs.
Yeah.
But now, to complete the Dark Knight ripoff, now Kaare Andrews creates an army of people in mass to rise up and create a revolution in the city. All we need is the rain cops to say, they're too big, we can't stop them, they're too big, and it'll be a perfect ripoff.
That's something that people say around Pete too. Too big, we can't stop them.
People say, there's so many dongs.
Dong. Dong.
Oh, wait, to go back to what you were saying before, I think Peter actually wanted to kill himself in this coffin.
He wanted to die, probably.
Yeah.
Well, because he says, like, I'm ready for it at the end of it all. It's so dark, so
Oh,
quiet.
yeah, you're right. Okay.
He wasn't going to kill himself. He just wanted to die. That's why I was saying it's dark, because he's like, I'll crawl in my own coffin and die.
He's just been rolling around in a graveyard with his wife's corpse dumped on him as he remembers how he killed her, and he just sees his dead foster parents too. So he's probably like, "Fuck, my life has been a fucking waste."
Yeah.
It's like understandable.
But he hears the bells and he realizes people are standing up.
Actually, first he thinks, well, somebody shut up those fucking damn bells.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's just so much dongs everywhere, fucking annoying. And then he jumps out of his coffin wearing the traditional red and blue. Because before he was wearing the black, we forgot to mention. He's wearing the black costume.
No, we mentioned it.
We mentioned it the first time, but not the second time.
Oh, yeah.
So but now, first time in the whole story, he's wearing the red and blue as the Venom symbiotes develop everything. And the people, the church crew, and Kaare Kelly.
And he sings, "Here comes the Spider-Man."
Yeah.
Which, again, he was just in a coffin about to die.
He definitely has multiple personalities. Like
One page later,
yeah.
he's like, yeah, here comes Spider-Man.
it's impossible that he doesn't have like another compartmentalized personality. Yeah.
Yeah, because like that's why it annoyed me, because it does suggest like this is the true Spider-Man after being buried under Peter's emo-ness. But like that works for Batman because Bruce Wayne is the match for Batman's like way of dealing with his parents' death.
Batman's also always like dour. He's always sad. Like he's never like, oh, I'm gonna crack jokes. That's why it's so weird to go from like really dark graveyard scenes to him singing his own song.
Yeah. I think he leans on Spider-Man to like mask his insecurities, but not to this level.
And also like he is Peter. And the only reason he stays Spider-Man, like he quits being Spider-Man more times than any hero ever quit being a hero.
Spider-Man no more.
Yes, that's happened so many times. But the reason he's not naturally Spider-Man. He is Spider-Man because with great power becomes great responsibility. He gives it up and he realizes this horrible thing happened while I wasn't Spider-Man. Just like what happened with Uncle Ben. I have this power. If I don't do anything, I can't live with myself. He hates being Spider-Man a lot of times, but he does it because he has to. It's not who he truly is. It's who he has to be.
Yeah.
And that's never once like actually brought up in this book.
No, it's not at all. No.
Yeah.
So basically, the police are having a stand-up with the dong people because they're like, no dongs in the city. And he's like, we have a big dong, and we're gonna bring it all we want.
God damn it.
And Venom knows somehow. He's like, Spider-Man's coming, and he tells the Sinner Six, let's split up and go throughout the building so we can all 1v1 him. Like,
make it fair because we don't want to make it unfair.
yeah.
Well, they already beat him up altogether. They know he's so weak they can take him out one by one.
Yeah, they're fucking old too.
I have to point out issue 4 is my favorite cover out of all of them because it's reference to that classic painting of Kronos eating his children.
Oh, I didn't catch that. That's good.
Oh yeah.
And it's Venom, a giant Venom eating Spider-Man.
So they do stick with the Greek mythology several times.
When it wants to.
When it feels like it.
Phil would know better than me because he knows Greek mythology. Was Kronos an alien symbiote?
Yeah. Wait.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know very little, I guess, about Greek mythology if you didn't know
The
that.
Titans were all symbiotes.
Actually, all Greeks are alien descendants.
Yeah. That's why we're so strong and have such big dongs.
Dong.
Darryl, issue 4.
Alright, so issue 4 starts with the bird flying into the electric barrier and dying.
Because of course it does.
And there's the narration. The price of freedom, the price to soar is small. All they ask you for are your wings. And in the background is like this
Automated voice.
yeah, voice telling the city, it's like, please remain calm. The web system has been activated. You are safe now. Please remain calm. Thank you for your patriotism. We're dealing with the rioters and looters.
Dong.
There is no war. There is no war in Ba Sing Se.
Dong.
Yeah, and then it's Spider-Man.
Dong.
Yeah, there's still dongs. It's dongs for a while.
Wait, you didn't finish the narration.
Oh, of all they ask you for is your wings, but not all creatures ask to fly. Some are content to crawl.
Like who?
And it's Spider-Man crawling up a building, and then he sees there's the Sinister Six waiting for him, or excuse me, Sinner Six waiting for him inside of a building.
With all these bells, people keep saying it's like a marriage or a funeral. They make this joke like 3 times.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, it's kind of strange how the writer doesn't realize, like, you only have to do that kind of stuff once. Like,
Yeah.
when you repeat it,
It's not like this is a 1,000-page book where like it needs to be reminded.
you're kind of like, you lose some of the effectiveness each time you repeat it.
This is another example of the overwritten style that it's trying
Yeah,
to take.
yeah.
And it's kind of funny too, because there's only like 1 or 2 text bubbles per frame, but there's still always like some needless information you don't need to convey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, now the little girl's still dinging her dong, and
And she says, that noise is the sound of free will, free thought. It's the sound of freedom.
yeah, it's really patriotic.
Like, yeah, of course. Duh. We get it. We get it.
And then Sandman's like, we're gonna kill you if you don't leave. And he keeps saying it, and then Venom upstairs is getting real grumpy. And he's telling him, it's like, please shoot those kids.
Yeah.
I can't handle all these dongs.
And the police realize, they make the connection that the dong's keeping the Venom symbiote at bay, but they're still like, the politicians said to kill those kids and turn off the dong, so let's do it because we want to die too, I guess.
And somehow Mayor Waters is still buying this, where he's like, we're protecting the city. There's a cost for protection. We have to kill those kids.
As a black symbiote is eating people.
Yeah, like literally, there's an ocean eating all of New York City, and he's like, we're protecting the city.
And now Sandman's experiencing like a moral crisis because he's like, these are civilians, they're not monsters. And the mayor's like, these civilians are terrorists. Disarm them of this weapon and protect the tower. And he's like, no, they're children. And he's like, you have to do it or I'll blow you up. So he's like, all right, you got it.
Yeah,
And then
that's
he's like,
that's the big turning point where he's like, I will blow you up if you don't do it.
but then he's like, he pleads with them again. It's like 4 pages of pleading where he's like, please just
Yeah.
leave.
And here's a line I found really weird, where the Kaare Kelly says, let me tell you a thing about Hope. Hope has 3 daughters. Anger at the state things have fallen into. Courage to fight to make things right. And the 3rd daughter is truth. And I'm like, this is like a 7-year-old kid? Who talks like this?
Also, like, that's a fucking so heavy-handed and obnoxious.
Yeah, isn't it? The daughter is truth, and Sandman realizes this is his daughter.
That's another thing, though, I
Yeah.
think. Like, Hope's daughters being truth, anger, and courage is from something.
Is it?
Yeah, but like,
Yeah.
it doesn't really apply here.
This is like a 6-year-old kid saying it too.
I know. I just think
I'm dumber than a 6-year-old kid.
the writers are like, wouldn't it be cool if we included this?
Included in the narration, don't have the fucking dialogue say if you can.
Yeah.
Especially when it's like a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, she turns into a rock person.
Cement.
Rock lobster.
Yeah. And then all of the guys around Sandman, all the other soldiers are like, she's an illegal, cut her down.
Which is very poignant commentary for modern day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they start opening fire on everyone, and it stops the dongs.
My little cement girl, my magnificent little cement girl.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you're Sandman, that might be like, touching to you.
I thought this was like such a weird.
If you're made of sand, if you're a sand person, you might be related to that.
To tie her into the story, to be like, to introduce Sandman's daughter as like a main character. Not only that, but like have this be an important thing where she's only mentioned her stepdad before. So it's like, all right, you established that she cares about her stepdad, not her real dad.
And also, like I said, Sandman wasn't a character until the end of issue 3.
Until this issue, yeah.
Like, why now? Like, I know Sandman this actually makes sense. This is one thing that does suggest he knows the character, because Sandman is one of the more sympathetic Spider-Man villains. But why now?
So his daughter is basically all shot up, like her arm, she's split in half, her arms have been blown off, she's all still cement, so there's no blood. And so he gets mad, and he starts like throwing all the cops away and protecting her, and the symbiotes are going crazy because they have nothing stopping them now. And then we cut over back to the Sinner Six, and Electro is going crazy. Is he actually like this crazy in the comics?
Electro isn't really crazy, he's usually just a loser.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't test that in the NES game because he's the first boss you fight.
Okay.
So Spider-Man breaks through the window into the building and kicks Electro, and then he's like, "Ha! Here comes Hydro Man, and I'm gonna zap. He's gonna get you wet. And I'm gonna zap you."
He doesn't even do anything to beat them. He's standing there, and Electro slips in the water. Like, I guess Hydro Man's like piss or whatever.
No, he webs him.
Yeah, he webs him.
Oh, does he web him?
But was Hydro Man in the Sinister Six? Like, he wasn't released from the vault or anything. Like, where'd he come from?
No, this is the first time he's been mentioned, because he wants to make this gag about how electricity conducts water. Well, let me reverse that. Water conducts electricity.
Electricity's making water.
You just have a big electric pole and it's just sucking all the water out.
Anyway, and then we have Scorpion, who's using his tail
To get thrown out the window.
Yeah.
Like, Spider-Man had, like, no empathy for a man falling to his death.
The old man suddenly looks 3 years old, crying for his mommy, almost feels sorry for the guy, and then it zooms in on Spider-Man squinting, and he goes, "Almost," he says out loud.
And he looks like he really doesn't want to fall to his death, too.
Yeah, of course he's falling.
It's
to his
weird.
death.
It's weird, but this guy doesn't want to fall to his death.
It's just weird for, like, you usually think superheroes save them and then wait for the cops to incarcerate them instead of just, like, whatever.
The cops are letting symbiotic aliens kill all of New York City.
That's true. Anyway, he turns around and he, like, his head starts feeling woozy, and that smell, that laugh, I know that laugh, and it's someone laughing at him, someone with red hair, and she's saying, "You're a failure, ha ha ha, I never loved you, ha ha ha, you're nothing but a," and then he punches her in the face.
He calls her a bitch.
Which, I was surprised.
Shut your trap, bitch, and punches her in the face. Oh, it's Mysterio.
Yeah, because he probably is like, whoever's imitating her can shut the fuck up.
No, I like to imagine that he reverted to his old behavior. He's like, "This is how he actually acts."
I like that he, I'd like to think that he's like, "I know my wife's a rotted corpse. That's who I've been snuggling with all night. This isn't my wife."
Also, I find it funny in this comic that they can't, like, bitch is blurred out, like it's censored with the symbols, but twice Jonah Jameson talks about Venom raping the city.
Well, it's different because rape is like a thing.
But, like, bitch is too far, but rape's like, that just happens.
Well, because it's not considered an expletive. Like, you can talk about rape in school. You're not going to call people a bitch in school.
People called me a bitch in school all the time.
I'm saying as a teacher,
I
you will
stand
talk
by
about...
what I said.
You kids are bitches.
And also, so Peter has been mourning his wife this whole time, and then he cracks a joke about it. Some advice: don't dress up like a dead man's wife unless he pays you.
Yeah,
to.
it's that.
Yeah.
Really weird coming from a man that was just in her coffin.
Really weird tone shift, unless he actually
Yeah.
does have split personality.
And then we cut back to Sandman holding his daughter, and she's like, "Glad to meet you, Dad." And he's telling her to focus, to pull her pieces back together, because if she was a true sand person, she can do it.
No daughter of mine will fall apart.
So then it's too late for her.
Also, okay, this is one line I want to point out. How fucking... This is what I mean about on the nose. I'll hold them close then. Now feel each part of your body reassembling, each separate thing melting back together, joining. And then he looks at the camera and he goes, "Like sand." Like, yeah, we get it. We get it. You're Sandman.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to, who's this guy? Hunter?
Craven.
Craven the Hunter.
Sly's favorite Spider-Man villain.
This guy?
I'll get to him during my recommendation more.
Spoilers.
Okay, and then this guy's sniffing the fear toxin because he talks about how some African warriors eat toxic mushroom before they go into battle to poison themselves before the fight so that fear will be on their side.
Definitely not true, by the way. No warriors ever poison themselves before they go fight.
No, but no, that's true.
Is it?
There's actually warriors in Africa. They lick frogs to get the high before they go into combat.
But they don't die.
It's like how Sly does a bunch of meth right before he records.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why he's always so aggressive.
That's why he's so amped up all the time.
That's why he's my favorite character. I'm like, this is me.
I thought
yeah.
I thought he was saying that they poison themselves like that they're gonna die no matter what.
No, like poison themselves so they're like high.
Okay, like hallucinogenic types.
Yeah.
Okay.
Since Spider-Man's like, that's a pretty good idea, so he he lifts up his mask and takes a big snort. And then they go to run at each other, and then he like sees all of his the family members they let down. There's May, who says, "You left me alone and penniless for that red-headed witch," which I guess his fear is that May didn't like Mary Jane.
Yes. No, that he abandoned her for like the super sexy lady.
Yeah.
I'm not hot enough anymore, Peter.
Yeah.
We talked about it in the Trouble episode that May has a Peter fetish.
Yeah.
And then there's Uncle Ben saying you didn't even have the guts to pull the trigger.
You should have killed me. You should have shot me, Peter.
I think because Peter feels like he's responsible.
Yeah, instead of like, you didn't save me.
Yeah, Peter feels like he's responsible for his death.
But there's a difference.
No, but in his mind, he killed Uncle Ben by not saving
Wouldn't it
him.
make more sense wouldn't it make more sense just for him to be like, you're too busy fucking saving your asshole, like you fucking too busy being a wrestler, movie star? Fuck you.
Yeah, I suppose it's just way more direct, being like, you should have just
Yeah.
killed me, because you did. And then it's Mary Jane saying, I never loved you, I only felt sorry for you. And then Jonah Jameson saying, you're a coward, in his Hitler outfit.
He's been saying Spider-Man's a coward since like issue 3. Like that's not
Yeah,
new.
he doesn't feel bad about that.
And then he smiles and narrates, but you, like, what does Craven Hunter see? And it's a big rhino charging at him.
Yeah, real deep. And then so Craven like I guess passes out and Spider-Man dumps 16 web cartridges on him.
Yeah, so it's this big, just like pencil black, like marked ball of just circles.
It really looks weird artistically.
It's also weird because he kills Scorpion, but then this guy just
That's why, like, he's like, I gotta leave him alive.
yeah, and in a very '60s goofy way too.
Yeah.
And then Sandman realizes that like all the symbiotes leave, and he looks down, and his daughter's dead.
Yeah,
Which to me was like a really like dark, because she was like one of the main characters more than like Sandman was, but now she had to die for him to go up to the.
yeah, that's to motivate him. Woman in the fridge, much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, this whole book is just women motivating men to move the plot.
That's a good point. She's the only female character, I think.
Mary Jane.
She's a ghost.
Yeah,
I know.
she's the only living female character.
I would argue that the girl is actually a character though.
Yeah, and
She like starts the resistance, she stands up to the police, she creates all the dongs.
Then she dies to motivate Sandman.
Yep.
yeah. To give them some credit though, it's not like fridging is like a new comic thing. Like it's like all fiction throughout history.
And this guy is referencing an era where that was common.
But they didn't. I don't think they introduced her just for that.
Yeah.
She actually
Yeah,
does drive the
I
plot.
think so too.
She's introduced as Sandman's daughter just for that, because again, this wasn't mentioned anything like even her having powers wasn't in the past 3
That's
issues,
true,
and then
that's true.
suddenly she has powers and then dies with them.
I actually like it. I like her better without the powers because I'm like, oh, she's just a victim of circumstance. She's not like a chosen one, but she
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And also, it was supposed to, I felt like initially it was supposed to represent the common man rising up, but nope, it's sand people rising up.
Yeah, it's like only superpowered people can do things of heroic.
The Sand People travel single file to hide their numbers. So.
It's because there's only one left now, though.
It's because of fucking Anakin Skywalker, you fucking mass murderer.
And the cops are killing all the younglings.
Yeah.
It's basically just Star Wars.
J. Jonah Jameson is like the last Jedi.
Yeah.
Just this guy work's done, go home, hug your kids, which I like because like suddenly Sandman realizes it's like, oh, people have families,
Yeah.
like me.
Yeah.
So Spider-Man gets up to the top building and says, I'll be with you soon, MJ. You say the hardest things about life aren't opening doors, it's walking through them when they open for you. So then he goes in to see...
And he goes, did anyone order a meat lover's deep crust pizza?
A door opens for him that he walks
Yeah,
through.
right after that. Then we get a cool scene of like the two Spider-Man's eyes and Venom's eyes.
Yeah, I love these panels.
Venom's all crazy looking because he's Venom.
It's completely black except their eyes and Venom's
Yeah.
teeth.
Yep, and then Venom's...
But I hate this part because basically he's basically like, oh, you left me alone by myself after I was attached to you, and now I was alone in the city, and I was lonely, and I did this all just to get back at you.
That is the most true to Venom's character that this book has had this whole time.
It is, but that's the motivation, not like Green Goblin or anything else, not like Harry Osborn or something like Dr. Octopus, maybe someone who like is more of a main antagonist. It's the symbiote feeling lonely. That's the main cause of this.
Yeah, I mean, it's a stupid reason for this whole plot to happen, but this is the most...
He says, you brought me here, lured me from another world, and then left me to die.
I know, but like, does that automatically have anything interesting to do with the story? Like, does it have anything to inform Peter himself?
Because now he wants to trap everyone else in the city, same thing he did.
Yeah, and to its credit, this is something we did look over. Is on the next page, Venom says, "I am the one responsibility that you shirked." I mean, just like how with great power...
But I think it's a stretch to make the main villain, like...
Oh, no, I agree that having that be the main drive for the whole plot is ridiculous, but having it be Venom's motivation, I think, is fine.
Okay, that's fair.
This book is actually great.
Fuck you.
So then, Venom and Peter start fighting.
They fight for a long time.
Yeah.
I think the fighting is pretty cool.
And what's great is Peter tells the mayor, he's like, you lived your life in servitude to an alien life form that has just ingested dozens of people. You call that okay? And then the mayor is finally like, oh, this isn't right. And he runs away saying, screw this.
That's what breaks him. Not telling the cops, shoot the civilians that are protecting the rest of the...
Shoot the children!
Yeah, shoot kids that are stopping aliens from eating New York City. Now he's like, hey, that's an alien eating New York City. And he's like, ah! The mayor runs
into Sandman.
and he's like, I was just trying to protect the city. That's what they told me. I was just trying to do my job.
Aren't you the one who loves this story, Phil?
No, I was joking when I said it.
Sure. I'm gonna make that your only quote. I'm gonna edit out all your dialogue and say the story's great.
Just edit in Phil saying, I love this part. This is my
Yeah.
This story's great.
George R.R. Martin sucks.
George R. Martin, eat your heart out. Kaare Andrews is a new way of life.
New way of life.
So then Sandman's like, I have something, you got something I want, and there's something I have to do. And then it cuts back to Peter, who's having another...
I think that this is the best art in the whole book.
It's the most
normal.
It's white background of Peter and MJ, and basically it's a flashback to when Peter's like, a shrimpy nerd, and I guess he's, early in the relationship with MJ, and he's basically saying like, I can't even stand up to a couple of jocks. Like, why? How can you even stand me? And she's like, I didn't fall in love with you because you could put your fist through Flash Thompson's thick skull. I fell in love with you because you could, but chose not to. I loved you because your heart was stronger than your fists. And he goes to interrupt her, and she says, there's only 3 words you need to know. I love you. And she takes off her glasses and puts on the Spider-Man cowl for him.
She takes off her glasses?
It takes off his glasses.
She takes off his glasses. Sorry.
Yeah, I am Spider-Man now, Peter. You don't have to take responsibility anymore.
The corpse rises from the coffin like him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in the Spider-Man mask, he says, I need you, MJ. She said, I know you do. And when it's time, Peter, we'll see each other again. Because when you love someone as much as we love each other, not even death can keep you apart. But right now, you have powers that no one else does. And that means there are things you have to do that no one else can. Go get him, Tiger. The things she meant to say before she died. And, I think this is effective.
But I feel this is repetitive considering they had that Go Get Him, Tiger scene already.
No, but this is, this is the climax.
This is when a corpse isn't saying it, and it's her as a...
I know, but that makes the previous... That previous reveal should have happened here, I think.
Oh, yeah, you never even had... We had that conversation about the awkward transition. He could have just been consumed by the guilt, fled, or, lied down in the corpse, or in the coffin.
If he had this scene...
And see this.
This scene in the coffin.
Yeah, and then see this.
Yeah, that would have been, actually pretty good.
Yeah. Well, we should have storyboarded for this.
It's just weird. In the middle of him fighting Venom... He's like, oh, I should be alive. Because then the very next panel is just him fighting Venom. There's not even any catharsis from realizing that she loves him and wanted him to be Spider-Man.
Yeah, the way it was before, it just seems like he was annoyed by the bell. That's why he jumped out of his coffin.
Yeah.
No, that is why he jumped out of the coffin to the book.
Yeah.
Also, I want to say that when you mentioned this is the best art in the book, this is the first time you're like, oh, people don't have to all be dark gray and
Yeah.
brown. Like, there is a world that is bright.
His art looks so
Yeah.
much better with a white background.
Like, blue can actually be a color
Yeah.
in this world. That's
And
not...
you don't need CGI backgrounds. You need to
Yeah,
have.
I think this guy can draw art well or draw
Yeah.
people well, and he does. His action is pretty well. It's just like I think every other book we've read is more attractive than this. Except maybe not The Boys. The Boys was like because again, that's like everything's like really dark too.
Darryl, the Unfunnies.
What? That's. I feel like every time we talk about the Unfunnies, like I read it from my mind because it's the worst of all possible things. Like I can't talk about something being bad because
You have to assume whenever we say anything relating to being bad, you have to add, except for Unfunnies as an exception.
Yeah.
yeah, Unfunnies remains just the pit.
Because if we were to use Sly's logic, the Unfunnies exist, so every other book is fantastic.
Fuck you.
All right, so he goes back to the fight.
He climbs up the building. He's trying to get like all the symbiotes that were down on the ground to chase him up the building.
And they do. They look so stupid.
they look like big sumo wrestlers climbing a building.
That's the thing. You know, since there are like a mushy alien life form, you could have had them like all like webbing up the building as they went up, but instead,
They're, like combining, yeah.
yeah,
And because the building is that CGI, it looks really weird. It looks like they're just like, well, they are literally superimposed on this image, but it really stands out.
And they're all because it's Venom. Venom usually looks naked, so it looks like a bunch of fat black naked people climbing up a CGI building.
And some of them have butt cracks.
Yeah, I guess I'm saying they're naked.
yeah, they do.
Well, yeah, there's highlights on the buns because those are well pronounced
Yeah.
on Venom.
Oh yeah, they're literally colored to have highlighted butts. What?
Yeah.
Well, that's just basic anatomy. Your butt's gonna be
Shiny.
gonna have a nice highlight. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's all these people are watching him. They're all like, "I believe," because Spider-Man's back, and they want to see him fight all these Venoms.
Yeah, I guess they're going for some kind of like people of Earth lend me your strength. I'm gonna spirit bomb Venom type thing. Where where it's like he's up there and everyone is watching, and they're like, "We give you our strength, Spider-Man."
Yeah, you can beat all these Venoms. And then he starts fighting all the Venoms, and he's trying to tell them a joke about two hunters in the woods, but he keeps getting interrupted and beat up.
Yeah, interrupted by like being slammed into the ground or ripped or whatever. He's like getting the shit kicked out of
I'm
him.
not even sure this joke pertains to anything.
I don't think it does.
The joke is just a guy with a hunter. There's two hunters in the woods, and one of them drops to the ground, and the guy calls his friend calls 911 and says, "My friend just dropped to the ground," and they're like, "Can you make sure he's dead?" And the hunter shoots his friend, saying, "I think that did it."
Yeah, he's like, "Okay, what now?"
It's a stupid joke.
Yeah.
And then
Sandman shows up, right?
he's basically ready to die. And then Sandman shows up.
Everyone in the story is ready to die.
Yeah, wait. Well, that's the thing. Is like what I couldn't tell what Spider-Man's like vision for this was. Like, I'm gonna climb to the top. I'm gonna lure them up here. Everyone's gonna watch me die. Like,
Yeah.
and he says like, "Kill me." He's like, "Finish it. I've earned
He
this."
says, "I'm ready to see her."
Well, the story in Deus Ex Machina, the story established in the Dr. Octopus issue that Deus Ex Machina is good.
That's true. I mean, maybe he was thinking if people saw what. No, but it just tells them like if you stand up, you get killed.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure.
Die like me.
Bad plot is bad.
Yeah. It's not
Speaking of bad plot, Sandman walks through Peter and gives him his remote
All the Suicide Squad bombs from way earlier, he's like, I put them in really important places on this building, so here's the detonator.
Yeah, he put all the bodies of the Sinner Six, and he gives Peter the detonator, and he's like,
They couldn't just get a fucking flamethrower or something?
no, he wants him to blow up the building,
Yeah.
blow up Olympus.
I also want to point out inconsistency here. 6 explosions go off. Scorpion was not in the building. He was out of the window.
Yeah, he was at the bottom. Maybe Sandman found him and dragged him up.
Sandman picked him up, probably.
If you fall from like 150 stories, you don't really have much to pick up.
Yeah, do you need to see that picture again?
Yeah, I guess you're right.
So Sandman lets himself get eaten, basically, and then he's like, "Now I'm inside them." So
Blow me up, Spidey.
Yeah.
And he blows him up.
And then he blows up the building. The last thing Spider-Man says is, "For a split second, I see your face."
That's a weird choice to have the ultimate sacrifice be done by a character, like we said, didn't become a character until issue 4.
I thought here he was going to die here and go see
Yeah.
Mary Jane, which is how it should end. But spoilers, he does not die. Somehow, this building that's bigger than the Empire State Building explodes and collapses, and Spider-Man jumps off or something. Like, it's a pretty big fall.
He swings, I guess.
What can you swing of when you're at the highest point? Yeah, I guess.
Don't worry about it.
I was gonna say maybe he made a web parachute like in the '60s comics.
I would love it if this book all of a sudden had a web parachute.
Fine, whatever.
There's always an explanation.
No, but he used all his webbing on Craven.
Yeah,
Shit.
Whatever, he lives. The rain stops and it turns into snow.
Well, I actually think this transition's kind of cool. It's all the smoke from the building. So it's all the smoke, and you see the kid and J. Jonah Jameson being like, "What does this mean? It's second chance."
Not the Sandman kid. This is a new.
Oh, just some kid.
This is one of the kids that was at the church.
Yeah, and then the smoke transitions into like snowy clouds, and now it's like months later in the winter.
Yeah, I like that.
And it says, funny thing about winter, it always seems like the end of the world. Lilies won't last long out here, and it's Mary's grave.
And then the epilogue, or like the final dialogue here is J. Jonah Jameson on the news now saying the city is no longer safe.
He's so ugly.
Everyone's so ugly.
Masked youths have returned to the streets. And look, this is his inspirational speech. Muggings, rape, and murder are again around every corner. Curfew laws have been abandoned and people like me are allowed to have a voice again. No, we're not safe. None of us. The super terrorists are loose again. God bless them. Yeah, so then someone's getting mugged as this is happening, and then Spider-Man, I guess, ties them up. And then Spider-Man's monologue is like, lilies don't live through the winter, but a part of them survives. And then when winter finally gives way to spring, the sun that takes seed...
Also, the character being dead, and then it's like, snarky thing, I'm actually alive, is also from Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, the sun takes that seed, and a new lily is grown. And he says, I'll see you one day, MJ, but until then, I have responsibilities.
I have to mention also that another ripoff that we forgot to mention was that the superheroes being banned in the cities, and that big feeling of revolution of the mask. We've got to overthrow the controlling government and bring back like the rugged individualism. It's
also, again, bonkers to me that in this world you could have such a fucked up system set up that the U.S. government is already and law have come to a complete stop. You have a fucking police state in New York City, and because the building collapses and the mayor dies, you can immediately go back to like a normal life, like a freedom-loving city. Like
Well, maybe it was like a thing since the Venom symbiote was like in charge of everything. As soon as he was gone, they're like, "Why do we have a police state again? Like, do we need this?" And
only Venom's the only reason why we have police states, guys.
It seemed like no one wanted, other than like the bad cops, no one wanted this system.
You have to have some kind of like computer thing, like that one stupid Teen Titans issue had. Like, you have to do something like that to make this believable to me.
Yeah.
Can we come up with a divisive issues term that we use? Because like fridging is very concise and easy. Can we talk about when it's like it's an actual social issue but not really?
When it's topical?
When they just use magic to explain it away, you mean?
Yeah, because like fridging is so simple of a term that we use now all the time. We should have a term for this.
It's topical and then it becomes magical.
It's magical, not topical. How about that?
Okay.
Okay.
That sounds pretty good. I'm into that.
My concern is when you try to make a catchphrase, it like doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't force a meme.
No, I just mean so we don't have to explain it every time.
I mean, I like it's magical, not topical, but I'm scared for its longevity.
It's scared for its slunt. What you say?
For its longevity.
It's slut. I'm scared for
It's
its slut.
slut.
But I don't want to have to be in 10 episodes being like that Teen Titans issue with the computer, I guess.
All right, so recap page. Actually, I will admit, Phil, you are a little bit right. When we're looking through it again, there are more redeeming graces to this, and I was looking through again. I saw more of them, but I also saw more of how much of a ripoff it was. So I do think this writer is not hopeless. He can write well in certain key scenes. But this story, the problem is for me, it's too much of a ripoff, first of all. It's like, it's too much
of a ripoff.
Yeah, and also just too much in general.
It's just too much like Dark Knight, right? Return.
But it's just too much in general. Like, it's just trying to be so depressing so hard.
Yeah, I agree.
I honestly, I think it's a story that tries too hard, but does have some moments that might not redeem it completely, but it does have some things that make it, I think, like something that I wouldn't put on the level of like Nemesis or something like that.
Not at all. I think like I said earlier, when you try for something good and you lack subtlety, it can come across like you guys are all saying. It feels like a try hard book most of the time, and it feels like the author's like, feel this right now, and that's never a good feeling when you're reading fiction or absorbing fiction. But it doesn't mean that he never succeeds in making you feel the thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like he does. I think he can evoke emotion through this book. It's just that, and sometimes it's like he pulls the curtain is open in the back, and you can see what he's trying to make you do, like what he's trying to make you feel.
Yeah,
and it's that kind of can ruin it in some parts, in a lot of parts.
It didn't for me because it was so heavy-handed at all time. Like, oh, doesn't this suck that Mary Jane's dead? Instead of like giving more like loneliness to Peter, it was like he's so crazy that he like keeps going through all these memories in the middle of fighting.
But you never felt bad when he's bleeding and crying, hugging Mary Jane's corpse.
Because
like, you
think
don't
how
felt like...
just crazy that is. The Doc Ock dumps her corpse on him, and then afterwards he crawls in a coffin to die alone.
I honestly think one of the biggest problems is the pacing of it, because he spends so much time on things that don't matter and not enough time on the things that should matter, like to make the core of it.
The corpse of it?
Yeah. So much time is spent on, like, here's the media recapping things, or, like, here's the Sinner 6 repeating the plot again and
The media
again.
stuff is just because Dark Knight Returns wanted to be. Like,
No, I know, but I mean, like, if he was to fix the pacing of this and rework, like, certain scenes, I think it could actually be, like, not great, but worth...
I think you have to get rid of Venom.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the problem. It's like the resolution of the story, when you set up for 2 whole issues that there's a fucked up police state, and then you just say aliens, and then like I feel like that kind of needs to be gutted to.
Well, that's the thing with the Dark Knight. The reason why the Dark Knight Returns works is because it's not him against some supervillain. It's him against the world that exists now.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the Joker's in it, Two-Face is in it, you know. But
let me write a better villain right now. Imagine if it was Harry Osborn becomes the mayor, and basically his argument would be that being Spider-Man ruined Peter's life, Green Goblin ruined his dad's life, so now they need to make sure that never happens again.
There you go. Yep.
there you go.
That's all you need.
And you can even talk about, like, when you're talking about exchanging freedom for security, like, you can do the route of the boys where they're like, supervillains and superheroes obviously are detrimental to society.
You could even pull from half of Spider-Man's career of, like, Captain Stacy died, Jean DeWolf died, Gwen Stacy died.
Yeah.
Like, you can go through a lot of people in Spider-Man's canon that died due to superheroes.
Yeah, there's so many good ideas and like gold nuggets that were in the book. Like, I really like the idea of Peter grieving over causing Mary Jane's death. Like, that's an interesting one. It's just not done well.
It's also, it just keeps coming back to me for that, like, whole it's magical not topical thing, where I'm like, there are legitimate arguments to be made that security is more important than having every freedom that's given to us in the Constitution or something like that. People can make that argument, and I disagree with them maybe, but they can say, like, my family died because we didn't have this type of protection.
Yeah, it's a platform you can stand on that is being stood on.
This book just says, like, haha, wouldn't it be funny if we beat up kids and old men and made rape jokes at them? And, like, it's so one-dimensional in that aspect that if you went with that, it would have been so much stronger than trying to just be like, it's evil.
Yeah.
So, to simplify it, are you glad this was written?
I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I'm glad it exists.
Me too,
I think I'm on the no side. I did not.
I'm on no side.
I feel like I should have just read a better Spider-Man story if I wanted.
You go with Dark Knight Returns instead.
That's why I was doing too. Like, from going from Dark Knight Returns, where I wanted to talk about what I liked with that, to this, it was just like, oof.
Yeah.
Could have spent my time better, guys.
I thought it was interesting to see Peter as an old man and to see his struggle with dealing with his impact on his family because he was Spider-Man.
Yeah, I think it doesn't... I wouldn't say it's good.
No, me either.
But I think it's definitely interesting, and I think there are a lot of interesting concepts that if you're interested in it, I don't think it's like...
If you're interested in it, go read Dark Knight Returns again. I'm sorry, I'm going to stick to that point.
No, but see, my favorite parts of this book are all the MJ stuff, and like
That's not-
there isn't any of that in Dark Knight Returns.
Aren't there better MJ and Peter stories?
Yeah. I'm not saying it's the best Spider-Man
Goes
story.
every those instead, yeah.
Yeah, but I am glad that it exists.
When I finished it, I was like, I didn't dislike that too much. I didn't really think it was good, but I was just like,
I don't know if I like this segment because it's so easy to just say I want this to exist. Because like, unless you're Phil, like a fascist, who wants to
I'm not
censor me.
that shit.
'Cause every book we read, like I want to censor this to make sure it doesn't exist anymore.
I never said that. I said the writer.
But every book we read, you're like, I will allow this. We have to justify everything. Like, Phil, well, what about this or this? And you're like, I'll allow it like a fascist. Like, thumbs down, this book is burned. Thumbs up, it gets out to live.
Fuck you.
we literally host a comic book review podcast. We're allowed to give things thumbs up and thumbs
No,
down.
but like he's like, I will allow it. I will allow it to live.
I have never said these books should be banned from existing.
be burned.
I think everything should be allowed to be written. The writer should just feel bad for writing such shit.
What about Unfunnies?
That's okay.
Should that be allowed?
Yes, it should totally be allowed.
Well, the writer should feel bad for writing this because he ripped it off another story. He's a ripoff.
But he put his own spin on it.
But it's the same fucking stories, the same art style, the same everything.
Okay, I feel like we're driving home our own points that we've already mentioned.
We're allowed to disagree.
It makes me so mad that you guys don't understand how a guy can rip off a guy's art style, his fucking format, his fucking everything, and you guys, it's okay.
No,
fuck you
Sly,
guys.
I'm on your side for the most part.
I know, but like, it just makes me mad. This is why I got mad when I read it because it's such blatant plagiarism to me. It's just such blatant plagiarism.
Yeah, I don't think it's plagiarism. I think there's way more things that are plagiarized out there.
Yeah, there are so many works of fiction that are very heavily drawn from other.
But are they published by a major company and touted as like a recommended reading material? Most of the stories are usually garbage trash that avoid.
I mean, do people recommend this?
Yes, they do. Frank got recommended it.
I got recommended it.
By who? Barry Anderson?
I don't know. It was a long time ago.
It surprises me that people would. I mean, apparently people recommend Nemesis and stuff. I'm like, I guess people like eating shit. So, I guess people have very different opinions than I do.
I think that there's enough interesting concepts that we talked about it for so long that like I stand by. I think there's a lot.
This is the one book I'm the most mad at you guys for. I'm serious.
That's okay.
That's okay. That's okay.
I just make you so mad. No, fuck you guys. Seriously, make you so mad.
Fine. I think when it's a story as iconic as The Dark Knight Returns, you can do homages to this caliber.
Yes.
The same art style. It's literally the same art style.
It's a bit different. Frank Miller's better.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a shitty art style of the Frank Miller. I'm sorry for getting mad, but it's obviously my issue.
Yeah, we've already made these points.
I agree. It's a ripoff, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, those two are okay with it. We're not.
So, we talked about this way too long.
I can't believe this is the comic we talked about for like 2.5 hours.
It might be because we were actually split on this as opposed to everything else. We were like, this is trash, right?
Yeah.
So, if you want to write in, it's Divisive Issues, all one word, Twitter, Gmail, Facebook, all that stuff. And if you want to rate and review us, iCloud,
iClap,
iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, and Stitcher. And thanks to Zach for recommending this book. I'm saying thanks, so I'll tell you to go fuck yourself. And, yeah, that's it. So, recommendations.
Okay.
I'll go first. I was going to recommend Daredevil End of Days, but I looked back and I already recommended that. So instead, I'm going to do another set in the future kind of grimmer story called Future Imperfect. It's a Hulk story written by Peter David. And it's basically if the Hulk was super intelligent and decided to take over the world, what would that be like? And it's short. It's only 2 issues, but it's gone down as like one of the definitive Hulk stories, and it's awesome, so read it.
I agree.
I was going to recommend, apparently since I'm not allowed to recommend Overwatch for heroes coming out of retirement, I think the idea of like an old man coming back to the action scene, reflecting on his life story, you can watch Gran Torino. Very different.
Okay, no, that's awesome though.
Very different style and a lot of different themes.
Better.
Much better. It's a Clint Eastwood movie about an old veteran, basically coming. I don't want to say coming out of retirement, but kind of, and dealing with his troubled past. That's all. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, it's a pretty good movie. I'm going to recommend 1984.
Yeah, that's a
Cool.
good.
for a dystopian future. I feel like this is all I'm gonna do now is just recommend classic literature.
That's awesome, though. Classic literature's
Yeah.
classic for a reason.
Yeah, I'm recommending it to myself. I should read it again. It's been a long time since I read it.
So I'm gonna recommend Craven's Last Hunt, Spider-Man Craven's Last Hunt. I recommend it already. Ryan says we have a law against recommending and stuff
I
twice.
didn't say that!
Yeah, you fascist! You fucking fascist pig!
But but Craven's Last Hunt. Craven's the hunter guy in the story, and Darryl's like, "Oh, this guy's a loser. What's the big deal about him?" But Craven's Last Hunt was a story. I recommend it because
Because it's great.
yeah, it's great. But
It's really, really great.
it was written around the same time as Dark Knight Returns. It's written the same heavy narration style, very dark, very gritty style, and it's basically about Craven, the hunter. He's dying from all the chemicals he's taken over his life, and basically he decides, I'm going to do one final hunt. And it's basically about how he's tormented by the image of Spider-Man, how he views him as a monster he has to take down, and he has to prove he's better than them. And it's basically a very dark, gritty story, and it is my favorite Spider-Man story.
Cool.
Do you know who my favorite Spider-Man villain is, Sly?
Venom?
Carnage.
Oh, fuck you.
Fuck you.
As a kid, I thought it was so cool being able to transform your hand into axes and swords.
Of course, because as a kid, everyone's like, he's so cool.
Yeah, he's all red.
Just like Venom here. Venom's obviously an arch nemesis of Spider-Man, guys. He's the guy who'll take over the city and fire web.
If I read this when I was like 12, I would have thought that was so cool. I'm like, yes, Venom!
He's totally the type to make this constitutional and change the court system and get rid of the New York State Assembly and
All because he's lonely.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I don't want to talk about this anymore.
I agree.
Thank you for listening to Divisive Issues. I've been an endless pile of dongs.
I've been a ripoff.
I've been a fucking fascist.
And I've been Hypno Hustler.
Stay in continuity.